And we are back on this August 7th, 2012, Tuesday edition. It's InfoWars Nightly News, and we are joined by your favorite guest out there and my favorite guest, or at least one of the great guests we have on that I always enjoy having on because of his wit and his insight and his forecasting, GERALD CELENTE of the Trends Research Institute. And they've just had their new magazine go out to subscribers. We're going to break down his take on the LIBOR scandal, on HSBC and Al-Qaeda, narcotics trafficking with Wells Fargo. It is getting crazy. The new issue, you got to love Anthony Freda. What an amazing graphics guy. I'm a little envious of the fact that he's got Anthony Freda. With Jesus beating the money changers, the modern money changers, with a cat or nine tail. So that's coming up. But first, I'm going to throw a wild card at GERALD, something I love doing because he can always cover any issue. GERALD, what do you make of these shootings magically happening when all these gun bills are introduced with Army PSYOP guys conveniently dying and some drugged up guy dressed up like Ronald McDonald, they say is the Joker, and just all the conflicting reports? What do you make of these shootings taking place right now?
I mean, why are they any different than sending, this is Terror Tuesday. Who are we going to pick today to send a drone over in some foreign country and blow away? I mean, it's just another day of business in the USA. The fish rots from the head down. I was thinking about this as well. Suppose this Batman cat, what if his name was Muhammad? Boy, oh boy, would they be wiping out the Arabs now. It would be bombs away. And if this other guy, Wade Page, if he blew up, went into a synagogue and did this, could you imagine what would be going on? So what this is, Alex, you got two crazy guys in a crazy world of a country of 312 million people. They're whacked out on prescription drugs. They're shooting little kids up with Ritalin. They're giving little kids, antidepressants at 6 years old. You don't even know what it is to be depressed at 6 years old. So the whole culture is rotting out. But again, put this into perspective. Could you imagine what the headlines would read if this guy went into a synagogue rather than into a Sikh temple and blew away 6 people, or this other Batman freak, his name was Muhammad? It would be a whole different story. So what I'm saying is you're also seeing all of this crap for gun control. Gun control? How about a little gun control for the United States that's intervening in countries around the world? I mean, really, if you're going to, again, happy Terror Tuesday. Who are we going to pick out to blow away today?
It's so frustrating to see the Pentagon in some cases where they'll kill up to 200 people bombing some wedding to get one bad guy, no judge, no jury, no court, illegally in some country that doesn't want the drones there, violating national and international law. You've got these unaccountable autonomous robot aircraft in some cases without human operators. All of this is happening. It's like, collateral damage. They call it bug splats in the Pentagon parlance, collateral damage. But then when some, people get killed in a theater, it's horrible. Oh, we got to take your guns. We're so sad. It's so... No. This is such a sick system that they've sold, and the whole thing is very, very suspicious to me. Now, I want to get into what's happening in the Middle East and then the economy and the latest The Trends Journal, but let's get into that right now. You talked about it a year ago. We talked about it when it was happening over a year ago in Libya, where the West, out of Egypt, but also landing them there in Tripoli, brought in tens of thousands of real al-Qaeda jihadis out of Saudi Arabia, lining up the blacks, shooting them, overthrowing Gaddafi, who'd become a stabilizing force and work with the West. Look at the message that sends. Overthrowing their own puppet Mubarak, putting in something worse. Now in Syria, openly admitting, the news is like, yeah, we're using Al-Qaeda. They're tough fighters. I thought I needed TSA to molest my wife and to molest me because Al-Qaeda might be in my Calvin Klein underwear. GERALD, I mean, I thought they could be hiding anywhere, but now they're saying that they're good guys going after Assad, who didn't do anything to anybody and wasn't threatening our country. I mean, am I unpatriotic Let me ask you this. Are you ready to say you love al-Qaeda and be patriotic?
You know, you really nailed it by beginning with Libya and how the whole area is now destabilized. That wonderful humanitarian mission. Now Western Africa is all up for grabs. And you said it. It's the al-Qaeda group. And it's the same. And then you want to really know about some hypocrisy? Who's supplying most of the arms to Syria? Oh, those wonderful democracies. Oh, you know, the place where women have just the joyous time of their life. The dictatorships of Saudi Arabia and Qatar. That's right. They're the ones that are selling democracy. What am I, 6 years old? Who's going to believe this baloney? They're the ones that are destabilizing the region. And the reason they're destabilizing Syria is very simple. It's what Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, as you pointed out, wrote about over a year ago in the Trends Journal for two reasons. It's the only place where the Russians have a port in the Mediterranean. And number two, the Syrians are the only ones that are supporting the Palestinians and the Hezbollah in Lebanon. And it's also the Iranian connection. And this is really about bringing down Iran. So let's not lose sight of this. And then if you want to hear some more hypocrisy, I'm watching the Cartoon News Network, or better known as CNN, and this guy's reporting from some northern city in Syria, and he's saying, I can assure you there are no al-Qaeda in these people that I'm speaking with. And then I read the Israeli newspaper, that's the same day, and they're saying now Israel is looking to become involved in Syria because they're afraid that al-Qaeda is going to be crossing over into Syria, from Syria into Israel. Oh, and then it also is another excuse to bomb Iran. So what you have here, Alex, in simple language, is a bunch of psychopaths called our State Department, our military, our presidents, our secretaries of this and that are leading the nation to destruction. Not only Syria, not only the Middle East, but the United States. Because if we go to war against Iran, I've said this before, it's the beginning of World War III. Right now, the entire Middle East is destabilized, and people are forgetting this, that when Israel invaded Lebanon the last time, they lost. They lost big, and they lost because Syria, through Iran, was giving Hezbollah weapons, and they don't want any part of that. So this is a Middle East war that is going to be spreading over the borders.
And now we segue into the Trends Journal and your forecast and the latest issue and the LIBOR scandal. But the caveat here is, as you said over a year and a half ago, the first great war of the 21st century, get ready for it. All the preparations for martial law in Europe, all the preparations now admitted here. Secretary of the Army saying we want troops in every U.S. city. A new article went up at Infowars.com tonight. Public Army documents. This is public, saying they're preparing to use the military against the Tea Party and saying we're going to link up with al-Qaeda. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, are they going to show up at my house and want to have sex with my wife, Homeland Security, because al-Qaeda will get me if they don't? I mean, do they want my bank account because al-Qaeda might be hiding in it? I mean, this is like the can opener for any job that it's al-Qaeda when they used them against the Serbs, the Russians, Libya. London Guardian confirms they've shipped them in. They're the main force leading everything. In Syria is al-Qaeda. They dominate the resistance. That's the headline. They wear al-Qaeda uniforms. They fly al-Qaeda flags. Their flags are over the courthouses in Libya. I mean, this is all public information, and the bankers are gearing up for insurrection. The only way I see them getting away with this, Gerald, is starting a war, thinking we'll rally around the flag if we're in a regional war that expands into Iran. The Russians have said they're going to back Syria. The Iranians said today they'll do whatever it takes. So this really does look like it's shaping up towards a third world war, the first great war of the 21st century. Is there any way to avoid this? Because the bankers want this political diversion.
I don't see any way of averting it unless the people rise up and come out against it, but they're not. I mean, they're still buying into the baloney. And you really rounded it all up with hitting the areas around the globe. The war is already on, Alex. What's going on in Syria, I mean, we're talking, people have a vision of, this, desert country. I mean, these are metropolitan areas. This would be like, bombing Houston.
They've got al-Qaeda blowing up police stations, military bases, shopping malls, and admitting it.
And again, let's go back to the beginning of al-Qaeda. When did it begin and who funded it first? Wasn't it the Americans trying to get the Russians out of Afghanistan? That's my recollection of it. It never stops. What people need to know are that the military are a bunch of losers. Everything that they touch, they turn into a disaster. Let's look at the track record. They lost the Korean War. They lost the Vietnam War. They lost the Iraq War. They lost the Afghan War. Now they're shifting and they're moving into the Middle East. And they're doing it admittedly. They keep starting new wars after they lose old ones. People wonder why our economy is going down the toilet. Couldn't be because of the $1.5 trillion that we're spending in war and war-related expenses.
Couldn't be the 20,000 drones that the Air Force alone has. In fact, let me interrupt you just to toot your horn. Occasionally I see comments on Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com when we post, one of these PrisonPlanet.tv interviews for everybody, not just PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. And I will see the little snipes going, "Where's the first great war, Gerald? You wrote that almost 2 years ago, and you said it." If they don't call Libya and Syria and all of this bedlam and all these expanded wars and all of this a big war, but Obama's a peace president. Libya and Syria aren't wars, they're revolutions. When the U.S. and NATO give them hundreds of thousands of weapons and they're shipping missiles and nerve gas out of Libya to use. See, Gerald, you're wrong. This isn't a war. The little minions out there sniping at you, they're right. I mean, they're not openly saying they're getting ready to hit Iran in all the news. Russia isn't threatening to use nuclear missiles in Western Europe. Everything's fine. You're a pessimist porn dealer. By the way, the economy's great, too. We left the recession 3 years ago, even though they admit we never did. Because you're right, you're wrong. You want to apologize to people?
Yeah, they're trolls. I know who these people are. And the other thing, let's move beyond the Middle East. How about those millions of people that are taking to the streets in Spain virtually every other week? The indignados. How about what's going on in Greece and how that whole society is breaking down? Crime is skyrocketing across Europe. Look at the new numbers that just came out in Italy. Oh, son of a gun, the unemployment rate over there is shooting around 12%. That's the official one. 25% in Spain. And they still call it a recession? Give me a break. Hey, let's keep moving on. What is it now? Oh, it's only the 4th month of negative GDP in Italy, only down about 1% this last quarter. Look what's going on in the UK. You want to see a bread and circus show? I got one for you. Let's call it the Olympics. It's beautiful. Your country's going down the crapper. Hey, God save the Queen. Take that one, Queenie.
And they've got to order the military in to fill the unsold seats. Talk about let them eat cake.
And then you go back and you want to see more bread and circuses? Go back to the 2004 Olympics. Hey, who was it that held it then? Couldn't have been Greece, could it? No, not the rich Greeks, the ones that don't have 2 drachma to rub together. You can see the whole thing is collapsing.
And that's another point. What is it, $14 billion the Brits are having to spend just to pay to have an event that people can't even afford to go to?
Not only can they not afford to go to it, it's killing business throughout England. In London, the businesses are dead. They're giving huge discounts at the theater. And, you know, the theater's really a hot place to go to. So, no one's making any money off this other than the corporate whores, the ones that always make the dough. So when you put it all together, oh, look right here in the nice old USA. Oh, look at the little riots that were going on in Anaheim. Oh, don't pay any attention to that. Those are just a bunch of disgruntled people. They're not angry about the $285 million luxury hotel that's going up there in Anaheim, and they gave the guys tax breaks worth $158 million as people don't have food to eat or jobs anywhere. No, that has nothing to do with it.
Gerald, let me just stop you there for a moment because, again, you've predicted this rotting of society, as you called it earlier, and that's why I brought up the trolls. I think a lot of them aren't even trolls. They're in delusion, and as more and more of what I've talked about, you've talked about, many other people that have their heads screwed on straight comes true, you're going to see a lot of people appreciate what we've done, but you're going to see others who've clung to the delusion, kind of like Hitler in the bunker, who are going to get very, very angry at those of us that have broken down. But when you talk about a rotting society, you were starting to rattle off examples of this. Please continue.
Well, again, every day you pick up the paper. A guy, walks into a hospital, blows his wife's brains out, kills his mother-in-law, a boyfriend, 3 kids. I mean, I remember when there was a movie, Truman Capote wrote it when I was a young guy, wrote the book and they did the movie In Cold Blood. Oh, you thought it was terrible. Guess what? Every day's In Cold Blood in the United States today. It's just become a fact of life. How about another flash mob somewhere in a Walmart? You're watching society crumble in front of us. The gap between the rich and the poor is the widest in the United States than any of the industrialized nations. All of the prostitutes bowing to the Buffetts, bowing to the Gates, bowing to the Zuckerbergs. Oh, and look at the numbers that came out with the last week's unemployment. Great jobs. Great jobs are being created. Nearly 30% of them pay poverty-level wages. Great jobs are being created. Great jobs are being created. Oh, yeah. Lost 750,000 full-time jobs since March. Hey, don't worry about it. Why should people earn a living wage? They're just lazy. They don't want to work. Look, it's great moving back home with mommy and daddy after you get out of college and you're $80,000 in debt and you'll never get a job to pay it off and you're an indentured servant. Why be angry? Salute the president. I salute. I'll give you a salute, but the people do it. Look at the presidential reality show. What are they talking about today? Obama came up with a new name for Mittens Romney. Romneyhood. Isn't that nice? Oh, it's perfect for the presidential reality show.
I want to get to that, but first I want to go through the New Trends Journal, the LIBOR scandal, the real reason we got you here, Gerald. I could talk to you for hours, but I know you've got to go soon. Continuing here, talking about the rotting of society, looking at other cultures, looking at history, looking at the current trend, we do see crime exploding. We see fraud exploding. We see arrogance and crime by government and just the seizure of property and forcibly inoculating children nationwide without parental consent. Government, making school kids have abortions without telling their parents. Just rampant crime. Police shooting people in handcuffs and not getting in trouble. I mean, really craziness. And I'm not just picking on the police. It's in the general culture, this degeneration, but it's also a degeneration in the culture, in the media, in the family. The system has done this by design, knowing that if they bring in the immoral virus that people will stand down. So it's almost a rudderless society having its prosperity taken as the establishment builds up this military force internally against us. They know what's coming. They know you're right, Gerald. They know that they've engineered this. So tell us, where do you see it going right now if we don't turn things around? And then I want to get into the latest Trends Journal, LIBOR, and more.
Well, where is it taking us? The National Defense Authorization Act that Obama signed on New Year's Eve. Where's it taking us? How about all the executive orders that Obama signed? How about the new ruling that it's okay to, send drones over, people's homes to arrest them? I mean, where's it going? They know where it's going. It's society's unraveling, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that we don't step out of line. And that's where it's going. So when you put all the pieces together, they're going to continue to clamp down on people like you and me and others that are standing up and speaking out. And while the rest of the sheep will get all aboard, next train to Auschwitz, kiss those calories goodbye. You're going to love it there. So that's where it's going.
What's the time frame on it?
It's now. It could be tomorrow. Look, you see all the reports coming out about the false flags. You see all the reports coming out what they were doing under the Kennedy administration in Santo Domingo. You see how they were they were even talking about blowing up the American consulate to rile the people.
Yeah, that's been declassified. That we all defend Kennedy because he said no to Operation Northwoods, killing U.S. citizens, and then it turns out Robert Kennedy was planning to blow up the U.S. consulate, just in Honduras to blame his enemies.
Yeah, I mean, so look doesn't anybody understand? These are psychopaths. These are sick people. They're Robert McNamara's. They're Donald Rumsfeld's. Marvel comic books could not have come up with a better creature than Dick Cheney. And people believe them? How could any self-respecting person follow these people? They're destroying us. They're destroying our nation, and no one seems to care. And when you talked about the destruction of society, look what they've elevated. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to embarrass the person, but it was a government person that I had a meeting with. And it was about, I want to say, let's raise the role model so that the young people could have a higher role model to follow. So we had discussions, and she looks at me, and I go on, and I said, when you think about what they've done with gangster rap, I said, figure it out. They elevated the lowest level of society. The lowest, the most violent of criminals that they wouldn't give shoelaces to or belts because they'd kill you with them. So she goes, now you have to respect that culture. It's not, I don't have to respect that culture. You don't sell that. Then she really put me over the top. She said, well, even the mafia, as bad as it seems, there are good elements. I said, you don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing good about the mafia. There's nothing good about gangster rap. And now I want to bring this all together because you were talking about how at all levels of society it's rotting. If I was a guy that still was living in the Bronx and I had a different mentality and I wanted to pull off a dirty deal, and I'm saying here, this is what we're going to do, and all of a sudden, Joey says, hey, Gerald, come on, man, that's not right. We're going to screw this one and that one. I'd look at Joey, and you know what I'd say? What are you, a jerk? The banks are screwing us. The government got your brother killed for fighting a stupid war. You don't have two nickels to rub together because they're screwing us, and you want to play it straight? That's what's going on. Everybody is ripping off the system because they're ripping it off from the top. Our role models are Bush, are Clinton, are Obama, are sleaze, are mass murderers, are psychopaths, and people are paying $35,000 a head to have dinner with them. So, yeah, society's rotting because look at the rot at the top.
But at the same time, there is a big awakening happening. Give us your take on that, and then I want to get into the economics.
The big awakening, and you know, this is something we're going to be writing about more. We're forecasting, Alex, a new age. You know, the new age began with a lot of good intentions back in the late 70s, 80s, and was gaining momentum in the 90s until the internet boom happened. People started making a lot of fake money, and then people started, you know, shopping until they could drop. What a mentality. So now we're being forced into an involuntary, voluntary simplicity, where you're looking at what's really important in life. Friendship, love, companionship, doing kind things to each other, living by the golden rule. We're going to see a revival in religion. Not the standard religions, but we're forecasting something new. I don't want to call it spirituality or even New Age, because that puts labels on them that really, you know, makes them, it kind of pigeonholes them. But something greater than that.
You're saying people are starting to awaken spiritually. That always happens during a crisis.
Exactly. And there are a lot of wonderful people in this country. And if I were to add them up, I would add up there are more great people in this country than slimers. It's only that the slimers do the dirty deals. The slimers are your senators, your congressmen, the gang of 535 that run the country. Look what they're talking about. Reid's calling this guy a liar. Lindsey the Graham crackers calling Reid a liar. Who could believe either of them? You know, it's Disney World for adults. So what we're saying is that's only a small part of society. When things start breaking down, you start seeing a build-up spirituality, and I believe that's the only thing that could save us. The only thing. I've said this before. There's that wonderful Hindu saying, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. Anybody that's studied at anything knows what I'm talking about.
You're right. And as the New Trends Journal says, and we say something similar, you are the answer, you are the resistance. These churches want to control you and make you, you know, feel like you need them when most of them are 501c3, and we've proven are getting direct Homeland Security orders. I've gone and spot-checked local churches, and I mean, you're going to worship the government, you're going to do what they say. I mean, this is like Soviet Russia or something, because they still had churches. They were just government mouthpieces. And just like Christ said, you're not going to find the Spirit of God in most of these churches. And, you know, he talked about the Pharisees up on the hill praying in front of everybody because they wanted everybody to know how good they were instead of praying in their closet. And people are going to find out that the materialism is not going to empower them. In the hierarchy of needs, sure, you need to be taken care of, you need to be comfortable, you know, but that's not the final equation. You don't sell out for status and baubles. Those don't fulfill you. That's why the globalists want to keep you so poor you can't even get the basics that you've got to have, so they can control good people by making you do bad things for the chicken feed they give you. That's why they want a post-industrial world. That's why they want people to not have quality that you talk about. We have sold our souls for this plastic Walmart death pit. Now, let's look at the New Trends Journal. You're breaking down what's happening with LIBOR, what's happening with the economy, what's happening with the global meltdown. We're seeing about the banks siphoning off money, the stock market being rigged. It seems like, Gerald, everything's now coming out. HSBC financing Al-Qaeda, big banks financing the drug lords, owning the aircraft. It's all coming out now. Break it down for us. Go over it. Because, I mean, what does this mean? Everything we've talked about has come out and more. Just manifest criminality in our faces.
The LIBOR scandal should be the biggest story of the 21st century. They rigged the interest rates. All those interest rates that you're paying on your mortgage, your car loan, your credit cards, your student loans, they're all rigged. And they rig them knowing where they're going to go so they could place bets on it. So they made fortunes on this. So what was the penalty for example, Barclays, the first one caught in it? Nothing. They got $400 million fine. I think that was like 5 days worth of profits. And what happened to the guy, Robert Diamond? Oh, I'm sorry, I'll quit. I'll go away with my $100 million and I won't do dirty business anymore. Nobody's head rolls. And now we're finding out all the banks that are involved in this. No heads roll. The point being is that then we just saw this night fiasco last week when their system went amok. The point being is that all of this trading that's going on Wall Street is just nothing more than gambling, this high-frequency trading. It's estimated between 60 and 80% is done by computers. This isn't investing. The whole game is rigged. And guess what? You're not in it. You will never be in it. Only a small number of people are in it. Why do you think guys like Romney, why do you think guys like Buffett, why do you think guys like all of these guys make all of this money? Because they're in on the inside deal. End of story, period, paragraph. The whole game is rigged. And as you pointed out, they're laundering drug money. What a surprise. Gee, I never would have known that. Yeah, I had no idea. Couldn't be, because that's why they wanted to open up all these branches throughout South America and why all the money was flowing into Miami. Jeez, blow me over. Oh, and nope, isn't it something that there are no government agencies watching this, and they were caught off guard? It's one criminal operation.
Oh, but don't worry. They're giving vandalism charges to children and parents who on their own, driveway to the sidewalk draw little suns and trees and birdies like my kids do. The policemen come and arrest mommy now. And don't you try to sell lemonade, you American scum slave. You go buy a high fructose corn syrup knockoff at McDonald's or we're going to arrest your butt too. I mean, they're now giving $1 million fines to garage sales. I mean, every day now I see articles where they're not letting people have gardens in their backyards because you don't have a garden, prisoner. I mean, this government is a bunch of lunatics.
That's what I was saying. And so what are you and I and others that you have on your show trying to do? We're for terrible things, and they should watch us. We don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to go in other countries and kill them. That doesn't mean I'm a pacifist. I'll protect myself. I practice close combat. That's a totally different thing. But I won't go kill an innocent person. I won't go into another, oh, what's wrong with you? How come you don't want to do that? What else don't we like to do? Well, you and I, people want to drink raw milk. Hey, that's your business. Oh, no. That's not good for agribusiness. You've got to get rid of Celente and Jones over there. These guys are troublemakers. Organic food, those GMO foods, they're all good for you. Hey, how about what's that new study coming out? That flavored butter crap blows your brains out? Hey, that flavored butter crap is good for you.
Oh, no, the corn that 87% of people are eating sterilizes the guinea pigs. Oh, I'm sure that's an accident, too.
Yeah, so we're against that. That makes us bad people. Oh, you and I, we're talking about the golden rule, do unto others. We talk about dignity, respect, and courage and passion. Isn't that terrible? Can't have any of that. Not when you have leaders to follow. How could anybody... Look, I began my career running political campaigns in Westchester County in 1971, the richest county in the United States. I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate, and I taught American politics and campaign technology at St. John's University. One of the first courses I designed it. in the nation. Never in my life have I seen a presidential reality show like this one, where so few people care about it, and it's as lame as it can be. What is it all about? Obama's saying, I want to see Romney's taxes. Now Trump is coming out, I want to see Obama's grades or whatever from grad school or high school or kindergarten, whatever that is. If anybody came out with economic plans like either of these two clowns, and they were taking Economics 101 in a community college, they would fail because they're so lame, what both of these candidates are saying.
Well, that's because they're owned by the same people, as you know, so they can't debate on any real issues because that would expose the whole scam. And like you were saying about the stock market, it's all done on insider trading now. That's why they jack it up and bring it down over and over again, holding everybody hostage with their pension funds and 401ks invested in it. And then you look at the way the rules have all been written. All these billionaires are exempt from the taxes. They get all the tax exemptions. I've got almost 50 employees here in Austin, Texas. I don't get jack crap. I've checked into it. I've been laughed at because I'm known as the chump, the sucker, the schmuck, the idiot, the mark, the American piece of trash. I am seen as nothing but a big blood bag for these mosquitoes to feed off of.
Yeah. Anybody that works for a living is. And that's what happened to this country. Because just like you employ 50 people, there used to be people in this country, they had things called, you know, ladies' men's shops and, you know, haberdashers and women's clothing. And they sold trinkets and this and that. It's been taken over. It's been taken over by Walmart. It's been taken over by Target. It's been taken over by Macy's. It's been taken over in the agricultural business by Smithfield, by Tyson, by Cargill, one after another. The communications business, Clear Channel. Ain't nothing clear about that. It's clear crap controlled by a small group. Oh, who did that one? Yeah, it was Bill Clinton, wasn't it? Yeah. And you could go down the list. So what they've done, Alex, if they've chipped the entire field for the benefit of the few rich, and everybody's become a slave for them. It's a plantation economy. It's better than the plantation because in the plantation you had to house them and, you know, they had to feed them. Now you're on your own. You have just enough so you can live off the plantation. We're not responsible for you. Just make sure you get back here at work in the morning or at night or whenever. So we have a society where we have, what, 58% of the employment participation rate? 58%?
It's an incredibly destructive system. We're almost out of time. I know you've got to go to another interview here. Again, GERALD CELENTE joins us. You can go to his website that's been on screen there, and you can subscribe. You can get the trends alerts, but also the Incredible magazine. It's all available right there on their website. But GERALD, in closing, how big is LIBOR, though, to know now that it's all been rigged? Everybody's basically a plaintiff. You got ripped off by MF Global. It really does. I think one of our only other hopes is not just the spiritual awakening, people taking action and a new renaissance, but isn't it just that the controller's craziness may undo them as well?
Yes, it is. But then again, you see the timeline. The crash of 29, the Great Depression, currency wars, trade wars, world war. The panic of 08, the Great Recession/Depression, currency wars going on, trade wars heating up, world war is going on. So when all else is gone, they take us to war. These are sick people. That's my concern. And when you look at the LIBOR and you look at all the scandals going on, again, stay tuned to Europe because they're going to come out with another scheme to buy the crappy bonds that they can't sell. It's going to make it look like things are going to be okay again. It's not. It's not. And remember the equation. Europe and the United States are the two greatest buyers of China, Indonesia, India, all of those slave labor, Bangladesh countries. If the United States and Europe don't consume, China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, they don't make. If they don't make stuff, Canada, Australia, Brazil, Chile, Bolivia, they don't export raw materials. You're looking at the numbers. I was talking about currency wars. The rupee is collapsing. The real in Brazil, one after another. You look at the data coming out of China and India on GDP. It's way off.
It's bottom line global depression. I mean, how long until it's too clear for anybody to ignore?
You know, some people will never see it. The fire in the North Tower is under control. Go back to your offices.
And they went back to their offices. The system knows exactly what it is doing. I mean, imagine employers who'll have you panic if somebody sees a box in the street and evacuate a building, but fires are in the building. Go back to your offices. They wanted a higher death count. GERALD CELENTE, I know you've got several web addresses to get to your journal. What's the best one to go there and subscribe?
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. And thank you so much for having me on, Alex. And thank you for all that you do.
Are you kidding, buddy? It feels really good knowing there's other people out there that are fighting for liberty, and there's more of us every day, and we're part of the second American Revolution against tyranny. We're going to win, my friend. God bless you, GERALD CELENTE.
Thank you.
All right, there goes GERALD CELENTE, hard-working guy in the fight against tyranny. Going to do another radio interview right now. We're definitely going to play some excerpts of this on the radio tomorrow. Be sure and remind me of that, crew. Well, that's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. I hope that all of you will join us back here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. You can always subscribe to prisonplanet.tv if you're watching this out in internet land for free. That's our goal. But it is the members of prisonplanet.tv who get all of the documentary films I've made, my book, Paul Watson's book, expanded extras, 9+ years of research and material. So I've been on air 17, but we've had prisonplanet.tv since April of what, 2002? Yeah, so it's over 9 years. I mean, it's like 9.5 years. I know the 9th anniversary was in April. So the point is, it's all there at prisonplanet.tv. And it's 15 cents a day. It's $5.95 a month. And there's really 6 memberships for the price of one. When you pay for one membership with the username and passcode you create, then you can have your friends and family see the show every night at 7 o'clock, see the archives of it, see it in higher quality. And then we do post it on YouTube, most of it. We do post it at Infowars.com the next day or so. But if you really want to help support alternative hardcore media and information, it is prisonplanet.tv and Infowars Nightly News. And we're hiring 6 reporters with the money from subscriptions. We plan to start having them on the Nightly News doing reports, but also starting new shows. So it won't just be one show every night here. We plan, in the face of this depression, in the face of all this tyranny, to just expend every ounce of energy we've got in the fight for liberty. And if it wasn't for you spreading the word about the show, if it wasn't for you subscribing at prisonplanet.tv, we could not do this. So again, thank you so much for all of your support out there. I'm Alex Jones, for all the great InfoWars team, and we couldn't do it without as well. Thanking you for your support. And again, Lord willing, I'll see you back on the radio 12 noon Eastern tomorrow. That's streamed at prisonplanet.tv as well. And here 7 o'clock tomorrow for InfoWars Nightly News. The future is in our hands if we simply take hold of it. If we stand back, we let the Slimers, as GERALD called them, have control. So support what GERALD's doing, support what we're doing. You buy with your dollars. You vote with your dollars. I mean, I use this example all the time. 10, 15 years ago, I've been saying 10 years for about 5 years. 15 years ago or so, you couldn't find organic food anywhere. But because of people looking for it and seeking it out, at first it was real expensive. Now the market's gotten so big, it's gotten competition, it's gone down in value, and at most grocery stores, more than half the products, well, 90% of the milk, almost all of the different ketchups say sugar, you know, non-GMO sugar, no corn syrup. The point is we're winning there. That's why they're so scared of don't let them have gardens. Don't let them have local co-ops for meat. Don't let them have milk. Don't let them shut them down. Don't let them shut them down. Shut them down now. Because these people don't have all the power. And if you vote with your dollars, but not just supporting us across the board, it's over for the globalist. So, of course, they're coming in not wanting to label stuff as GMO because we're kicking their butt. They're crying uncle, folks. They're in a fetal position. It's the great, powerful Oz, but it's hollow. I don't want to go into a whole rant about this, but we can beat these people. And sure, they're coming in with fake organic and stuff now. They're going to try every trick in the book. But humanity is going to kick their butt. So what if you got a bunch of drones? So what if you got a bunch of robots and crap? There's 7 billion of us and only a few thousand globalists, okay? They're parasites. They try to confuse us all day. And when we're in a trance, we're confused. They can clean our clocks. They've been kicking our butt because we're asleep. But we get up and start fighting, folks, they're going to start falling. That's why they're scared, and they should be. And for all of you that serve the system, your gut tells you to join us. Your intellect tells you to join us right now. You don't have to go out and speak out tomorrow. You don't have to go and fight the New World Order tomorrow. Join us in heart. Join us in spirit. And everything else flows out of that decision. Join us. We're here waiting with all those that fought for liberty in history, for all those that stood for honor and everything good. Does it mean I'm perfect or you're perfect? No. But we turn our hearts towards good. We turn our hearts towards repenting for all the corruption and evil and decadence we've all been involved in. We begin by recognizing good from evil. Good from evil. We reject the corruption of the world. And what is the world? It's not the world. It's the princes, the principalities, the power, the globalists, the capitals, the systems, the evil ones that always try to get in control. We come out of Babylon, and it's a decision. We are in Babylon, but not part of it. And I'm not talking like some preacher here, folks. I mean Babylon, the GMO, Babylon fighting with your husband, fighting with your wife. I mean the whole Babylon. The thing is death. It's all it can deliver because evil people that are willing to cheat and hurt others have a sickness within them. They're not powerful. It's like Max Kaiser said, I'm always saying cancer takes over. The globalists are like cancer, and if cancer had a consciousness, it would think it was winning, taking over the body politic. Oh, look how elitist I am. Look at my survival of the fittest. Look at my social Darwinism. But Max Kaiser took it one step further, and he said, cancer, it's one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard. The globalists, the banksters, this global organized crime syndicate is like cancer. They are programmed to take it all. They are programmed to take it all. In fact, can we excise that clip and play it tomorrow night from the Kaiser interview last week? That's it. Don't you get it? Because once you accept evil and corruption, once you don't care about innocence, once you decide to cheat and screw people and do bad things, even if you don't want to go all the way, you just do it a little bit. That's why they want to artificially make you poor, so you'll do anything. So you'll be corrupt, even though your heart doesn't want to be corrupt. You'll be corrupt to feed your kids. You'll be corrupt because the neighbor made fun of you because your car's broken down. Well, you'll show him. They are programmed to take it all. And as soon as you get into corruption, there's always somebody ahead of you who'll do something even more underhanded to get ahead. And then there's somebody else who'll do something even worse. And pretty soon, the UN and the Department of Defense are involved in child kidnapping and trafficking, and it's in the news, and nobody gets in trouble. 6 years ago, a congresswoman asked Rumsfeld about the child kidnapping by the UN and contractors at the Pentagon, DynCorp, and he said, yeah, they did it, and they're not going to get in trouble. I mean, we're talking about snatching little kids out of their backyards here. See, folks, when you sign on to evil, and again, the devil comes to you and says, oh, well, you do corrupt things, you do bad things, you know, you have bad thoughts, you might as well just go all the way. No, that's the lie, folks. Recognizing it's bad, recognizing it and saying, I don't want to be part of that, that's what pulls you out of the gravity well of evil. But if you just say, oh, that's the way it is, folks, it's hell in a handbasket. And there's and people that dream of releasing bioweapons that will kill almost everybody. They want to release it. They fantasize about it. They talk about it. They put it in the literature. They've created a racial memory in the human race for it, and they are preparing to kill everybody. So, I mean, I'm telling you, folks, that's what people say, oh, you're so brave. You've got so much courage. How do you work so hard? How do you do this? How do you do all this? I'm not brave. It's programmed to take it all. I mean, I'll draw a picture for you here at the end of the show right now. It's programmed to take it all, okay? You know, here's the global cancer, and it's on a timeline of wrecked civilizations and cultures that it's already destroyed. Need more paper. Point is, it's moving from history into the future, and it's gobbling things up, and it's just going into the inferno because that's what it does. You know, the old parable of the frog. Scorpion comes up to it and says, I want you to give me a ride across the creek, across the river, and the frog says, but you'll sting me. And he said, no, I won't, I promise. And they get across the water, and the scorpion stings him, and the frog's laying there in pain, dying. He goes, why'd you do that? I was nice to you. He goes, well, I'm a scorpion. I mean, and I know that's very elementary, but that's what it is. They're programmed to take it all, and we're being pulled in to this gravitational pull. We're being pulled into this, and folks, if we won't even make the decision to try to get away from this, I mean, if we won't decide to even get away from this death machine, then there's no hope. And if you say there's no hope, a lot of you say, okay, it's bad, but there's no hope. Well, you've just given into this. And the whole system's saying, oh, no, go in there. It's warm in there. Here, you know, no. Out of it. And getting, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Chinese parable. You've got to decide you want out of this. And make that decision, think about it, meditate on it, whatever you want to call that, and you will get out of this. We will get out of this. Doesn't mean we'll individually get out of it. See, that's the thing. You've got to be willing to die to beat this. Because he who was willing to give up his life for others gained it. When you're afraid to die, they can use the fear to end up getting your life to begin with. I mean, you see what I'm saying? What matters is our progeny, and even people's children that aren't our children. The future of humanity, all the good that we've got is because good people stood up. Look, there's two trains in history, okay? There's two tracks. There's the good track, and there's the bad track. And people that want to sell bad always want to dismantle the good track and to say it never even existed. They want to control reality. The good track's in, you know, all over the place. There's freedom involved, different decisions. It's not organized. Evil organizes because it has a lust to get rid of this. Because this is a reminder of everything that's good. The globalists don't like you healthy. They don't like you smart. They're so into saying they're elitist, they poison and dumb you down just so they can rule over you. Man, that's a group of losers. And all right, now I'm waxing philosophical. That's it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly Rant. See you back tomorrow night. I'm Alex Jones signing off for the third time.